Hey guys, Matt here. I want to do a quick little comparison video today between these two guns right here. And the reason I want to do this is because, as most of you guys know, I've been carrying this Glock 26 for quite a long time now. I love this gun. It's a great gun. That is my go-to concealed carry pistol. I carry that about 95% of the time. However, a couple weeks ago, I picked up this Kahr CW40, okay? I didn't pick it up because I was looking for anything in particular. I didn't pick it up because I was looking for a gun or specifically even looking for a concealed carry piece. I just ran across it. It was a great deal. I couldn't pass it up. Okay, well, when I got the gun home, and especially after I started shooting it and got it to the range, I started to say, well, you know what, this is small, it's concealable. Obviously, it's a Kahr, it's what it was designed to do. You know, I'm going to put it in rotation and you know, keep it as one of my guns that I can have an option of concealed carrying. It's always good to have as many options as possible. But I started doing a comparison. So let me compare it to my Glock, since the Glock is what I carry the most. And as I was going through and comparing everything, size, weight, barrels, all that stuff, I thought, you know what? This might actually be useful to somebody out there because these two have the exact same purpose. So if there's people out there who are either new to guns or maybe just new to concealed carrying or maybe new, or not new, but maybe just looking for their next concealed carry gun, they might be facing the situation of having to choose between these two types of pistols, okay? And so I wanted to go ahead and do this comparison. Maybe somebody will find it useful. So first off, I gotta say, this is a 9mm, this is a 40, but these two firearms, the only difference if you were to make this a 40 or make this one a 9 is going to be the magazine capacity. That is the only difference. They would stay the exact same size, same dimensions, measurements, everything. Mag capacity is the only thing that would be different. So yes, I am comparing a 9 to a 40, but again, for what we're talking about, it's not going to make a difference. So let me go ahead and go over the specs as far as, you know, size, weight, that kind of thing, so you can see those kind of comparisons there. First off, we're going to talk about the length of the gun. Okay, the Kahr is a hair bit shorter. Okay, it comes in at 6 1/4 inches versus the Glock's 6 1/2 inches. So just about a half inch, or excuse me, a 1/4 inch shorter. As far as the height on these two guns go, this is where there's the most noticeable difference. Is on the Glock. You've got about 4 1/4 inches versus the Kahr, which because of this grip down here comes in at 4 3/4 of an inch. So it's about a half inch longer, but you get a little bit more of a full grip. I can actually get all three of my fingers on there, just barely, but I can get all three of my fingers on there with the Kahr. Now, next is going to be the thickness. The Glock's going to come in at 1 1/4 inches thick versus the Kahr, which is about 0.93 or 0.94 of an inch thick, so under an inch, which is going to put about a little over a 1/4 inch difference between the two. Now, of course, this is a single stack gun versus a double stack pistol, so you know that's why you have that difference there. Next is going to be the barrel. All right, now it's hard to tell because the Glock actually has a longer barrel, but if you line up the chambers here, you see that the Kahr actually has a slightly longer barrel. I believe the barrel on the Kahr is 3.6 versus 3.5 on the Glock. Now, because it has a longer slide, the Glock actually has a slightly longer sight radius than the Kahr does by about, like, I think an 1/8 to a 1/4 of an inch, somewhere in there. Now, again, at self-defense distances, which is what you would ever be using this for, that doesn't mean anything. Most of what we just talked about is not going to have any effect on its shooting. The next thing is going to be the weight. Now, unloaded, 20 ounces versus 16 ounces, so about 4 ounces difference between the two. Now, loaded, because this has a double stack magazine capacity versus a single stack magazine capacity, so obviously the weight of the rounds are going to add more. The difference is a little bit more. You go from 16 ounces to 22 ounces versus going from 20 to about 27 ounces when weighed. Now that's going to depend just a little bit on what kind of ammo you're using, but you know, if it's 40, it's going to be less rounds, even though it's a heavier round. If it's 9, it's going to be more rounds, but they are a lighter round. So it kind of equals itself out there, regardless of whether you're talking 9mm or 40 in either one of these two pistols. Trigger pull is exactly the same on both of them. They both have a 5.5 pound trigger pull. The biggest difference is going to be the type of trigger pull. This is a long, consistent double action trigger pull, and the reset is all the way back up to the front, and you can do it again. The Glock, on the other hand, is a little bit different, obviously. Okay, it's shorter reset, shorter trigger pull, everything. But the weight of both these triggers is identical, exactly the same, 5.5 pounds. Then we get to capacity. Again, this is going to depend on what kind of caliber you're going with. In a 40 on this one, you've got 6 rounds in the mag. If this was a 9mm, it would be 7 rounds in the mag. On the Glock, 10 rounds on a 9mm. If it was a 40, it would be 9 rounds. Okay, so what you're looking at is no matter whether you're comparing 9mm to 9mm or 40 to 40, you're going to get 3 extra rounds on the Glock as opposed to the Kahr. Now, there are higher capacity magazines. We go from, on the Glock, a 10 round to a 12 round, and on the Kahr, we go from a 6 round to a 7 round on the 40, which of course would be a 7 to an 8 round on the 9mm. Again, you can bump it up. Now that brings me to the comparison where it most affected me anyways. That is, I carry my Glock with the +2 extension. If I was going to carry this Kahr, I would just carry it with the standard magazine. What that does is it makes the length basically the same. Okay, when I've got that +2 extension on my Glock, that pretty much takes away, at least at the front of the grip, that takes away the difference between the two grip sizes, the height of both these guns. So now let's get to the price. All right, right off the bat, 450 bucks, about 530 bucks. Now when you add taxes into the mix, you're talking about almost $100 difference between these two guns. Now, this brings me to basically what for me are the two biggest differences between these two pistols, and for me what would make the most difference if you were out purchasing one of these guns that would help you make a decision on what to buy, because I don't think it's the length or the weight or the height or the thickness of either one of these guns. The differences between the two are negligible. The biggest differences between these two guns is, first, magazine capacity. Okay, this has a much higher magazine capacity consistently, okay? Especially if you do the +2 round consistently, this is always going to have a much higher magazine capacity. That's the first big difference that I think you need to take into consideration. The second difference obviously is going to be the price. This is a lower priced handgun. Now, does that mean this is less of a handgun than the Glock? Not at all. This is a very, very well made gun. I'm not as familiar with Kahrs as I am Glocks, but just from my short time with this gun, looking at it, looking at the internals, taking it apart, disassembling it, cleaning it, this is a very, very well made gun. In fact, I would say probably more time and attention was put into this gun than this gun. This has much tighter tolerances, but then again, that's what makes a Glock a Glock. It has much looser tolerances, okay? It's more durable, it's more reliable, you can beat it up more, you can get it a little bit dirtier, and it's not gonna fail to function on you. Whereas this has a little bit tighter tolerances. Maybe if you got it as dirty as you could get a Glock, this would jam up on you. So that is something to take in consideration. But for most of us out there, we're not dunking our pistols in mud before we go conceal carrying and then putting in our holster and riding out, okay? We're keeping our guns clean, so either one of these is gonna work just fine. My personal opinion, I could go the rest of my life just carrying my Glock 26. I love it. I picked this up because it was a good deal. That being said, now that I have it, I will definitely be carrying this, okay? For me personally, I would have to give the edge to the Glock simply because of magazine capacity. I think it's worth the extra $100 to get more rounds. I think mag capacity is a very, very important thing. That being said, this is a fantastic gun. It shoots great, it's very comfortable, it's extremely well made, it's a good looking pistol to boot. All in all, you're not gonna go wrong with either of these, but I thought I'd throw this comparison up. Maybe it'll help some of you out if you're looking to decide between these two pistols, or maybe you're just looking for something for concealed carry in general. So anyway guys, that's it. I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.